Have you ever felt small in the face of a gigantic problem? Maybe a situation at work that seems impossible to resolve, or a personal battle you think you can't win. We've all been there. But what if I told you that the answer to overcoming these giants lies in an ancient story full of lessons about faith and determination? It seems unlikely, doesn't it? But the truth is that the story of David and Goliath has more to do with your life than you might imagine. David demonstrated remarkable courage when facing Goliath, a courage that seemed non-existent among the Israelite soldiers. Imagine the scene. A young shepherd with no military experience, confidently walking toward the battlefield. While everyone else trembled with fear, David maintained his unwavering faith in God. He didn't just see Goliath's threat as a physical challenge, but as an opportunity to glorify God's name. His courage wasn't merely the result of personal bravery, but a deep and unbreakable confidence in divine protection. It's fascinating how David's courage wasn't impulsive bravery, but a faith-based courage. He believed God would protect him, just as he had in the past. This kind of courage is rare but can be cultivated. Think about everyday situations where courage is necessary, like facing a challenge at work or standing up for someone in need. Inspired by David, remember that true courage comes from believing there's a greater purpose in our actions. David also saw the battle from a spiritual perspective. He wasn't just fighting a physical giant, but battling the dishonor cast upon God's army. This spiritual perspective transformed his fear into a mission. David understood that he wasn't alone. God was by his side. This view can be applied to our lives when facing our personal giants. Seeing challenges as opportunities for spiritual growth can turn our fear into strength. It's interesting to note how David's courage stood out in an environment where fear was predominant. The Israelite army was paralyzed by terror, but David, with his unwavering faith, stood as a beacon of hope. It's a powerful reminder that even when everyone around us is afraid, we can find strength in faith and trust in something greater. Think of times when you were the only courageous person in a group. How did that change the situation? David's confidence in God was palpable. He knew that no matter the size of the challenge, God was in control. This is something we can all learn and apply. Imagine facing a problem knowing you have a greater power by your side. This confidence transforms the way we approach challenges and gives us the strength to move forward, even when it seems impossible. This is the essence of the courage David teaches us. David didn't let others' fear influence his courage. He saw beyond the fear and focused on God's strength. This teaches us the importance of not letting others' fear discourage us. Often we face situations where everyone around us is doubting and afraid. At these times, it's crucial to remember that our strength comes from within and from our faith. This understanding helps us maintain courage, even in the most challenging situations. David's courage was also an act of challenging the status quo. He questioned why no one was facing Goliath and took the initiative. This act of defiance is something we can all incorporate into our lives. When we see something wrong or unjust, we need to have the courage to speak up and act. Think of situations where you saw something that wasn't right and felt the need to act. This is the courage David demonstrates, the courage to challenge and change things for the better. In practical situations, courage can manifest in various ways. For example, defending someone being treated unfairly at work or school, or even facing a personal fear like public speaking. David's story shows us that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the determination to move forward despite it. Each time we face our fears, we become stronger and more courageous. This is something everyone can practice in their daily lives. David used his faith as an anchor for his courage. He didn't rely on his abilities, but on God's strength. This is a valuable lesson for all of us. Often we face situations that seem beyond our capabilities. In these moments, remembering that we are not alone and that we have a greater strength by our side can give us the courage to move forward. This unwavering faith is what sustains us in times of difficulty. David's courage also teaches us about the importance of action. He didn't just talk about what needed to be done, he went and did it. This is a powerful reminder that true courage involves action. We can spend a lot of time planning and talking about our dreams and goals, but it's the action that really makes the difference. David shows us that it's necessary to act, even when the situation seems frightening. This is something we can all apply in our daily lives. An interesting aspect of David's courage is how it inspired others. After his victory, the Israelite army was encouraged to fight and won the battle. This shows how courage can be contagious and inspire others to be brave as well. In our lives, we can be the inspiration for others. When we face our fears and show courage, we give others permission to do the same. This creates a cycle of courage and mutual support that strengthens the whole community. David also teaches us about the importance of humility even when we are courageous. He didn't seek personal glory, but acted for the glory of God. This humility is a crucial component of true courage. Often the desire for recognition can undermine our courage. By keeping our focus on the greater good and helping others, we can be courageous without becoming arrogant. This is something everyone can practice in their lives, always seeking the common good. In a world where fear is common, David's courage stands out as a beacon of hope. He shows us that it is possible to be brave, even when everything seems to be against us. This lesson is especially relevant today, where we face many challenges and uncertainties. Remembering David's courage can give us the strength to face our own challenges with confidence and determination. This is a powerful message that we can all carry with us. David also reminds us that courage is not just for grand, epic moments. It is needed in our daily lives. Each time we face a difficult situation with courage, we are living David's example. This can be as simple as standing up for someone being treated unfairly or making a tough decision at work. These small acts of courage add up and make us stronger every day. Finally, David's courage shows us the power of faith. His confidence in God not only sustained him, but also inspired everyone around him. This is a powerful lesson for all of us. When we face challenges with faith and courage, we can not only overcome our own fears, but also inspire others to do the same. This is the true strength of courage, a force that can change the world around us. As we can see, David's courage is a timeless example of strength, faith, and determination. His story teaches us that with the right confidence and faith in something greater, we can face any challenge that life throws at us. This is something we can all carry in our hearts as we continue to face our own giants every day. The setting of the battle between David and Goliath was positioned in the valley of Elah, a strategic and significant place for the Israelites. Imagine a vast valley surrounded by hills where the armies positioned themselves, ready for confrontation. For 40 days, Goliath challenged Israel, mocking and provoking Saul's army. The tension was palpable, and fear spread like wildfire. Each day that passed without a response to Goliath's challenge increased the demoralization among the Israelite soldiers. David, a young shepherd, went to the battlefield with a simple mission: to bring supplies to his older brothers who were in the army. Little did he know that this visit would change history. Upon arrival, David heard Goliath's taunts and saw the fear in the soldiers' eyes. This moment was a turning point. David, with his unwavering faith, decided that he could not stand by and allow God's name to be dishonored by an arrogant Philistine. The Valley of Elah, which served as the stage for this epic confrontation, was located southwest of Jerusalem, near Gath. The location was not only strategic, but also symbolic. The valley represented a place of decision, where Israel's faith would be tested. The battle setting reminds us that often our greatest challenges occur in unexpected moments and places. It is in these valleys of life that our true strengths are revealed. During these 40 days, Saul and his army were paralyzed by fear. With each of Goliath's provocations, the discouragement grew. The constant presence of the Philistine giant was a daily reminder of his supposed invincibility. This situation reflects how, in our lives, we can feel overwhelmed by persistent problems that seem to have no solution. But it is precisely in these moments that divine intervention can turn the impossible into possible. David did not go to the battlefield seeking personal glory. He went with a servant's heart, concerned with God's honor and the well-being of his people. Hearing Goliath's taunts, something ignited within him. He could not accept that God's army be challenged in that way. This sense of justice and faith led David to act, showing that true courage often arises from indignation at evil and injustice. The Philistine army, confident in Goliath's strength, was camped on the other side of the valley. They watched day after day, waiting for the Israelites to finally give up. But David's arrival changed everything. He brought not only physical supplies but also new hope. This moment teaches us that sometimes the solution to our problems comes from where we least expect it. and that we must be open to recognizing and accepting this help. When David decided to face Goliath, he wasn't just acting on impulse. He was responding to a higher calling. He saw the battle not just as a physical fight, but as a spiritual confrontation. Goliath wasn't just challenging Israel, he was challenging God himself. David understood this deeply, and this understanding gave him the strength to stand up against the giant. This spiritual perspective is something we can all apply in our lives. David's preparation for this battle began long before he arrived at the field of Elah. His experiences as a shepherd defending his father's sheep against lions and bears were a kind of training for this moment. This reminds us that the difficulties and challenges we face daily may be preparing us for something greater. Every experience is an opportunity for growth and strengthening for future battles. When David announced his intention to face Goliath, many doubted him. His own brother Eliab accused him of arrogance and pride, but David remained steadfast. He knew that his confidence did not come from his own strength, but from God. This determination, despite criticism and doubts from others, is a powerful example of how we should remain focused on our faith and purpose, even when others do not understand or support our decisions. David's courage and willingness to fight inspired others. Even before his victory over Goliath, his courageous attitude began to change the mood among the Israelites. They saw renewed hope in David. This demonstrates how our actions can influence and inspire those around us. By being courageous and faithful, we can be the spark that ignites courage and faith in others, creating a ripple effect of positivity and strength. Goliath, on the other hand, represented not just a physical threat, but also a symbol of arrogance and blasphemy. He relied entirely on his strength and abilities, despising the God of Israel. Goliath's stance is a reminder that arrogance and pride often precede a fall. By relying solely on himself and challenging the divine, Goliath sealed his own fate. This is a lesson on the importance of humility and recognizing a greater force in our lives. While the Israelite army hid in fear, David stood out as a true leader, not by position, but by action. He showed that true leadership is not about titles or status, but about courage, faith, and the willingness to act in critical moments. In our lives, we can apply this lesson by taking on leadership roles in our communities, families, and workplaces, even when we don't have an official title. The impact of David's decision to face Goliath was immediate and transformative. His courage and faith changed the course of the battle and inspired an entire nation. This teaches us that our actions, even the smallest ones, can have a significant and lasting impact. Every choice we make can positively influence those around us, creating waves of change that go far beyond ourselves. David faced Goliath with a sling and 5 smooth stones from the river, a choice of weapon that seemed ridiculous to the experienced soldiers. But this demonstrates that with faith and courage, the tools we have at our disposal are more than enough to face our greatest challenges. We don't need sophisticated equipment or abundant resources. We need confidence and determination. This is a powerful lesson about the importance of using what we have effectively. David's victory over Goliath was not just a physical victory, but a spiritual one. He showed that faith in God can overcome any obstacle. By defeating Goliath, David not only saved Israel from an immediate threat, but also reaffirmed the nation's faith in God. This reminds us that our personal victories can have significant spiritual repercussions, strengthening not only our faith, but also that of those around us. The battle in the Valley of Elah is a reminder that even in the darkest and most challenging moments, there is always hope. David's arrival on the battlefield brought new perspective and hope to Israel. In our lives, we can be that source of hope for others, bringing light and faith where there is darkness and despair. This is the true essence of what it means to be a leader and a servant of God. Thus, the context of the battle between David and Goliath offers countless valuable lessons about courage, faith, leadership, and the importance of being prepared for the challenges life presents. It is a powerful testimony of how faith in God and personal determination can transform seemingly desperate situations into glorious victories. David recalled his past experiences tending his father's sheep, where he faced and killed lions and bears. These encounters were not merely incidents but divine training for the great challenge that was to come. Imagine a young shepherd alone in the hills, facing fierce beasts with nothing but his faith and courage. Each battle with a lion or a bear was a practical lesson on God's protection and provision. These experiences strengthened his confidence that God would protect him again against Goliath. David's preparation as a shepherd was not by chance. Tending the sheep required vigilance, courage, and constant faith. Every time David faced a predator, he was unknowingly preparing for something greater. Life often puts us in situations that seem trivial or routine, but are actually shaping us for future challenges. Like David, we must value these small daily battles, for they are the ones that prepare us for the great moments of our lives. The confidence David had in facing Goliath came from his previous victories against lions and bears. He knew that the same strength that enabled him to protect his father's sheep was with him on the battlefield. This confidence was unshakable because it was rooted in concrete experiences of divine deliverance and protection. Similarly, when facing our challenges, we should remember the times we have overcome difficulties in the past, using these memories as fuel for our present confidence. David also learned the importance of perseverance while tending the sheep. Shepherding was not a glamorous task, but required patience and dedication. He learned to be diligent, to constantly watch, and to react quickly to threats. This perseverance was crucial when he decided to face Goliath. In our lives, perseverance in small tasks and daily challenges prepares us for moments of greater importance. Daily discipline is the foundation upon which we build our greatest achievements. Another vital aspect of David's preparation was his ability to use simple tools effectively. He didn't have access to the sophisticated weapons of the soldiers, but he used a sling and stones to protect the sheep and eventually defeat Goliath. This teaches us that we don't need sophisticated resources to face our challenges. Often the tools we already have at our disposal are sufficient, as long as we know how to use them skillfully and confidently. It is a lesson about making the best of what we have. David also developed a deep intimacy with God while alone in the fields. These moments of solitude and reflection allowed him to strengthen his faith and dependence on God. Solitude, which often seems like a burden, can be an opportunity to grow spiritually and prepare our hearts for the battles to come. In our busy lives, finding time to be alone with God can be the key to developing the strength and courage needed to face our own giants. David's humility was another crucial element in his preparation. He did not see himself as a hero or a great warrior, but as a servant of God. This humility allowed him to trust fully in God, rather than in his own strength. In our lives, cultivating humility can help us recognize our dependence on something greater and seek divine help in times of need. David shows us that true strength comes from humility and faith. During his time as a shepherd, David also developed practical skills that would be useful on the battlefield. He learned to be strategic, to choose his battles, and to use the terrain to his advantage. These tactical skills were vital when he faced Goliath. In our lives, the practical application of skills we develop over time can make the difference between success and failure. David teaches us that every experience, no matter how small, has the potential to prepare us for something greater. David's preparation also included learning to deal with rejection and contempt. He was not considered a warrior by his brothers or by King Saul, yet he persisted in his faith and his mission. This teaches us the importance of not letting others' opinions deter us from our goals. Rejection can be painful, but like David, we must stay focused and confident in God, knowing that He has a greater plan for us. David knew that the true battle was spiritual. He understood that to defeat Goliath, he needed God's help. This reminds us that many of our challenges also have a spiritual dimension. Facing these challenges with prayer, faith, and dependence on God can give us the strength needed to overcome. David did not rely on his own abilities, but placed his trust in God. This is a powerful reminder that with God by our side, we can overcome any obstacle. David's training also included the ability to remain calm under pressure. By facing lions and bears, he learned to control his fear and act decisively. This calmness was crucial when he faced Goliath. In our lives, staying calm in high-pressure situations can help us make better decisions and act more effectively. David shows us that calmness and confidence are powerful tools in any battle. David's preparation was complete because he had a clear vision of his mission. He knew he was there to protect his father's sheep and later to protect the people of Israel. Having a clear vision and a defined purpose can help us persevere in difficult times and stay focused on our goals. David teaches us that with a clear vision and a defined mission, we can face any challenge with courage and determination. David's story also reminds us that God can use anyone, regardless of their position or status, to accomplish great things. David was just a young shepherd, but God used him to defeat a giant and save a nation. This teaches us that no matter who we are or where we are, God can use us to make a difference. We must always be prepared and willing to respond to God's call, regardless of our circumstances. David also learned the importance of constant practice. Every day he spent tending the sheep was a day of practice and preparation. He didn't wait for a grand opportunity to show his courage. He practiced daily. This teaches us that constant practice, even in mundane tasks, can prepare us for moments of great importance. Daily dedication and continuous practice are essential for success in any area of our lives. Finally, David's preparation shows us that true strength comes from faith and trust in God. His previous victories and his experience as a shepherd prepared him to face Goliath. But it was his unwavering faith in God that gave him the necessary courage. In our lives, we must remember that while our skills and experiences are important, it is our faith in God that gives us the true strength to face any challenge. David faced not only the giant Goliath, but also the contempt of his own brothers and King Saul. When David arrived at the battlefield, his brother Eliab accused him of arrogance and pride, insinuating that he was only there to watch the fight. Imagine how painful it must have been for David to hear these words from someone who should have supported him. However, he was undeterred. His determination was stronger than any criticism, and his faith in God kept him focused on his mission. Eliab's attitude is something many of us have faced in our lives. How many times have our friends or family doubted our abilities or intentions? David shows us that even when those closest to us do not believe in our potential, we must remain determined and move forward. He knew his mission was greater than his brother's criticisms. This is a powerful reminder that our determination must be rooted in a higher purpose. In addition to Eliab's disdain, David also had to deal with King Saul's disbelief. When David offered to fight Goliath, Saul initially laughed at the idea, saying that David was just a young shepherd with no military experience. Saul couldn't see beyond David's youthful appearance to recognize the courage and faith he possessed. But once again, David was undeterred. He argued that his past experiences had prepared him for this battle, convincing Saul to give him a chance. This moment of Saul's disbelief is something many face in their own journeys. Often, those in positions of authority or power may underestimate our ability because of our age, appearance, or lack of formal experience. David teaches us to stand firm in our confidence and use our personal experiences as proof of our ability. By staying determined, we can overcome even the most skeptical opinions. David also had to face Goliath's contempt. When the giant saw David approaching, he ridiculed him, mocking his youth and appearance. Goliath saw David as nothing more than a frail boy, unfit for battle. But David, armed with his faith and a sling, knew he had a strength that Goliath could not see. He responded to Goliath's taunts with confidence, proclaiming that he came in the name of the Lord of hosts, not in his own strength. David's response to Goliath teaches us the importance of knowing who we are and where our strength comes from. In many situations, we may be underestimated or ridiculed, but it is crucial to remember that our true strength comes from our faith and determination. David shows us that when we know whom we trust, we can face any challenge regardless of the contempt or taunts we face. David's determination was also evident in his ability to ignore distractions and focus on the goal. He didn't let Eliab's, Saul's, or Goliath's words distract him from his mission. This ability to stay focused is essential in our lives. Often we are bombarded by criticism, doubt, and distractions that can divert our attention from our goals. David teaches us the importance of keeping our eyes on the prize and continuing to move forward, no matter what happens around us. David was not seeking personal recognition or glory. His determination came from a deep desire to defend God's honor and protect his people. He saw the battle against Goliath as an opportunity to show the world God's power. This sense of greater purpose is something we can all incorporate into our lives. When our actions are guided by a purpose greater than ourselves, our determination is strengthened, and we can face any challenge. David's responses to Eliab, Saul, and Goliath also show us the importance of responding to criticism with calmness and confidence. He didn't engage in heated arguments or lose his composure. Instead, he presented his reasons clearly and confidently, showing that his determination came from deep and unwavering faith. This approach is something we can all learn. Responding to criticism with calmness and confidence not only shows maturity, but also strengthens our position and determination. David also demonstrated incredible resilience. He didn't let others' negative words bring him down. Each criticism and disdain he faced only strengthened his determination. This resilience is essential in our lives. We must learn to use criticism as fuel for our motivation, instead of letting it discourage us. David teaches us that true determination comes from within, and that, with faith and resilience, we can overcome any obstacle. David's story is a clear example of how determination can transform the most challenging situations into glorious victories. He faced disdain from all sides, from his family, his king, and his enemy, but maintained his faith and focus. This determination not only led to the victory over Goliath, but also inspired the entire Israelite army to fight with renewed courage. David shows us that our determination can have a profound and positive impact on the lives of those around us. Moreover, David's determination teaches us the importance of believing in ourselves, even when others do not. He trusted in his abilities and in divine help, regardless of external opinions. This self-confidence is something we should all cultivate. By believing in ourselves and our mission, we can achieve great things, regardless of adversity or lack of support. David also shows us that determination often requires sacrifice. He was willing to risk his life to face Goliath, something no other soldier was willing to do. This type of determination requires deep commitment to our goals and a desire to do what is right, regardless of the cost. In our lives, we must be willing to make sacrifices for what we believe in and for the goals we want to achieve. David's story and determination also teach us about the importance of faith in action. He didn't just believe that God would help him, he acted on that faith. This is a powerful lesson about how faith and action must go hand in hand. We may have a lot of faith, but it is action based on that faith that truly makes a difference. David shows us that true determination involves both believing and acting. Finally, David's determination reminds us that with God, all things are possible. He faced an apparently invincible giant and emerged victorious, not by his own strength, but by the strength of God. This is a powerful message of hope and encouragement for all of us. No matter how great our challenges are, with faith and determination, we can overcome them and achieve victory. During the confrontation with Goliath, David showed a confidence and determination that surprised everyone. Goliath, a Philistine giant with heavy armor and an imposing spear, was a formidable opponent. He ridiculed David, mocking his youth and appearance. To Goliath, David was nothing more than a frail boy, unfit for battle. But David had a secret weapon, his unwavering faith in God. He knew he wasn't facing Goliath alone, God was with him. Goliath was used to inspiring fear and submission. His impressive stature and deadly weapons made him almost invincible in the eyes of the Israelite soldiers. However, David was undeterred. Armed only with a sling and 5 smooth stones from the stream, he advanced with courage. This act of bravery shows us that true strength does not lie in weapons or appearance, but in faith and determination. David did not rely on his own abilities, but on the strength of God. David responded to Goliath's taunts with a declaration of faith. He proclaimed that he came in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, whom Goliath had defied. This confidence in God transformed the battle. David knew that with God on his side, he had the advantage. This is a powerful reminder that when we face our own giants, we should rely on God and not on our own strength. Faith is our most powerful weapon. The confrontation between David and Goliath is a lesson on how faith can overcome fear. While Goliath relied on his physical strength and weapons, David relied on God. He did not let Goliath's size or threats intimidate him. This unwavering faith is something we can all cultivate. When facing scary situations or challenges that seem insurmountable, we should remember that with faith, we can overcome any obstacle. David's choice of weapons is also significant. Instead of using Saul's heavy armor, he opted for his sling and stones, simple tools with which he was familiar. This decision highlights the importance of being authentic and using the tools and skills we possess. Often we try to face challenges with resources that are not natural for us. David teaches us to value and use what we have, trusting that God can turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. David approached Goliath with determination. He did not hesitate or retreat. Each step he took was a testament to his faith in God. The way we face our challenges also matters. We should move forward with confidence, knowing we are not alone. David shows us that true courage comes from moving forward even when fear is present. Each step we take in faith strengthens our determination and brings us closer to victory. David's strategy was simple but effective. He used the sling to launch a stone with deadly accuracy, striking Goliath on the forehead. This unexpected strategy caught Goliath by surprise and ensured David's victory. This teaches us that sometimes the simplest and most direct solutions are the most effective. We don't need complicated plans or sophisticated strategies. Clarity and precision can be our best allies. David inspires us to trust in our abilities and in God's guidance. Goliath's fall was a moment of triumph not just for David, but for the entire Israelite army. David's courage and faith inspired others to fight with renewed strength and hope. This collective impact is a testament to how our individual actions can influence and motivate those around us. When we face our giants with courage and faith, we give others the permission and inspiration to do the same. David shows us that true leadership is served by example. After knocking Goliath down, David used the giant's own sword to decapitate him, securing his victory definitively. This final act symbolizes how faith and determination can turn our defeats into victories. By using Goliath's sword, David showed that even the enemy's weapons can be redeemed for good. In our lives, we can transform adversities into opportunities for growth and victory, using the challenges we face as tools for our success. David's victory over Goliath is a testament to the power of God in action. It wasn't David's physical strength or skill that secured the victory, but divine intervention. This reminds us that in our battles, we must rely on God and seek His help. Often we try to solve our problems on our own, but David teaches us the importance of depending on God. With Him, all things are possible. The impact of David's victory spread quickly. The Philistine army, seeing their champion dead, panicked and fled. The Israelites, inspired by David's courage, pursued and defeated the Philistines. This domino effect of courage and victory shows how one person's faith and determination can influence an entire community. David shows us that our actions can have a much larger impact than we imagine, inspiring and motivating others to fight and win. David became a national hero, but he never lost sight of the source of his strength. He always gave glory to God for his victories. This humility is an important lesson for all of us. When we achieve success, it is easy to be carried away by pride. David reminds us to maintain our humility and recognize that our victories come from God. This attitude of gratitude and humility keeps our perspective right and helps us continue to depend on God. The confrontation with Goliath was a turning point in David's life. He went from being an unknown young shepherd to a recognized hero throughout Israel. This crucial moment teaches us that sometimes a single courageous action can change the course of our lives. We must be prepared for these moments and act with faith and determination. David inspires us to be ready to seize the opportunities God gives us to make a difference. David's story is often seen as a simple narrative of the underdog's victory over the oppressor, but it is much more than that. It is a deep lesson about faith, courage, and the importance of trusting God. David shows us that with God on our side, no giant is too big to be defeated. This is a message of hope and encouragement that we can all take into our own lives. David also teaches us about the importance of preparation. Although his victory may seem miraculous, it was the result of years of experience and trust in God. Each battle with lions and bears prepared him for this moment. Similarly, we should see our daily struggles as preparation for greater challenges. Each experience is an opportunity for growth and strengthening for future battles. Finally, David's story challenges us to have unwavering faith. He faced Goliath with a confidence that can only come from deep faith in God. This faith transformed the impossible into the possible. In our lives, we should strive to develop this kind of faith. A faith that allows us to face any challenge with courage and confidence, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. David's victory over Goliath is a clear example of how faith can transform the impossible into reality. David did not rely on his own strength or abilities. He relied completely on God. He knew that regardless of the size of the challenge, God was in control. This unwavering confidence is a powerful lesson for all of us. In our lives, when we face challenges that seem insurmountable, we must remember that with faith in God, all things are possible. David acted with courage, but that courage did not come from himself. It came from his deep faith in God. He was not intimidated by Goliath's size or threats. Instead, he saw the battle as an opportunity to show the world God's power. This kind of faith transforms our perspective on challenges. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, we can see them as opportunities for God to show His power through us. David's victory was not just a physical victory, it was a spiritual victory. By defeating Goliath, he showed the people of Israel and the Philistines that God is greater than any giant. This spiritual victory is a reminder that our daily battles have a spiritual dimension. When we face our own giants, we must remember that we are not fighting with our own strength, but with the strength of God. This spiritual perspective gives us the courage and confidence to move forward. David's faith was demonstrated not just in words, but in actions. He did not just proclaim his trust in God, he acted on that trust. This combination of faith and action is essential in our lives. We can talk about our faith, but it is through our actions that we truly demonstrate it. David teaches us that true faith involves acting on our trust in God, even when the situation seems impossible. David's story reminds us that true achievement comes from God. He did not seek personal glory or recognition. His motivation was to honor God and protect His people. This humility and focus on a greater purpose are essential for our own achievements. When we seek success, we should not do so for selfish reasons, but to glorify God and help others. David shows us that by keeping our eyes on God, we can achieve great things. David faced many challenges throughout his life, but each victory strengthened his faith. He learned that God was always with him, regardless of the circumstances. This continuous trust in God is something we should all strive for. As we face challenges, we should remember the times when God helped us in the past and use those memories as a basis for our faith in the future. David shows us that faith is a muscle that must be exercised and continuously strengthened. David's victory also had a profound impact on his people. His faith and courage inspired others to fight with renewed strength and hope. This domino effect of faith and courage is something we can all cultivate in our lives. When we act with faith and confidence, we inspire others to do the same. David shows us that our faith can have a profound and positive impact on those around us, creating a stronger and braver community. David teaches us that true faith involves trusting in God, even when the odds are against us. He was not intimidated by the circumstances or the opinions of others. Instead, he trusted God and moved forward with courage. This lesson is especially relevant today, when we face so many uncertainties and challenges. We must learn to trust God in all situations, knowing that He is in control and will guide us through any storm. The story of David and Goliath is a reminder that God can use anyone to accomplish His purposes. David was just a young shepherd, but God used him to defeat a giant and save a nation. This teaches us that no matter who we are or where we are, God can use us to do great things. We must always be ready and willing to respond to God's call, regardless of our circumstances or limitations. David also shows us that faith involves risk. He risked his life by facing Goliath, but he did so with the confidence that God was with him. This willingness to take risks in the name of faith is something we all should cultivate. Often we are called to step out of our comfort zones and face challenging situations. David teaches us that by taking these risks in faith, we can experience divine intervention and see great miracles happen. David's victory was a testimony to the Philistines and to the world that God is real and powerful. He used his victory to glorify God and show His power. In our lives, we should seek to do the same. When we achieve success, we should use those opportunities to testify about God's faithfulness and power. David reminds us that our victories are not just for our benefit, but to glorify God and inspire faith in others. David's faith also teaches us about the importance of spiritual preparation. He spent many years in the wilderness, tending sheep and developing a deep intimacy with God. This spiritual preparation was crucial for his victory over Goliath. In our lives, we must dedicate time to strengthen our faith and our relationship with God. Spiritual preparation empowers us to face challenges with confidence and courage, knowing that God is with us. David shows us that faith is the key to unlocking God's power in our lives. He faced Goliath with the certainty that God would help him win. This certainty came from deep and unwavering faith. In our lives, we must seek to develop this same kind of faith. When we trust God wholeheartedly, we can experience His power and see miracles happen in our lives. Faith is the foundation upon which we build our greatest achievements. David's victory reminds us that with God, we are more than conquerors. He faced a challenge that seemed impossible and emerged victorious because he trusted in God. This encourages us to face our own challenges with the same confidence. No matter how great the obstacles before us, with God by our side, we can overcome them. David inspires us to keep our faith strong and trust that God will give us the victory. David also teaches us that faith involves action. He didn't wait for God to solve everything for him. He took the initiative and acted based on his faith. This shows us that we must be proactive in our faith journey. We should pray and seek God's direction, but we must also be willing to act when He calls us. David shows us that the combination of faith and action is powerful and can lead to great victories. Finally, David's story challenges us to live a life of constant faith. He didn't just trust God in times of crisis, but maintained that faith throughout his life. This is something we all should strive for. Faith is not something we use only in times of need. It should be a constant part of who we are. David inspires us to live a life of continuous faith, trusting God in all circumstances and celebrating His victories in our lives. David's story is a powerful testimony of how faith and determination can transform our lives. But knowing these lessons is not enough. We must apply them. So how can you face your own giants? Think about the challenges you are facing right now. It might be a problem at work, a family conflict, or an internal battle. Remember David, a young shepherd who, with faith and courage, defeated a giant feared by all. What can you do today to face your challenges with the same determination? First, strengthen your faith. Spend time in prayer, reading, and meditation, seeking divine guidance. Trust that God is with you every step of the way. Second, act with courage. Do not let fear or doubt paralyze you. Take concrete steps, even if they are small, to move towards your goals. And finally, inspire others. Share your story of faith and courage, showing how you overcame your own giants. Are you ready to face your challenges with the same courage as David? Believe that with God by your side, no giant is too big to be defeated. Remember, every step of faith and every act of courage not only transforms your life, but also inspires those around you to be stronger and braver. So, if you enjoyed this content and want to continue learning how to apply these lessons in your life, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Don't miss any videos. Join us on this journey of growth and transformation. Are you ready to be the next David?